Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
God, I feel like it's been forever. Well, first of all, it was because I had to do the last podcast by myself.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Weird. It's like, wait, who am I talking to?
I know. And you know what? You know how we always say it's so funny how we don't ever listen to him because we don't like to listen to ourselves. But I was like, well, I'm going to have to go back and listen to that one because I don't know what Linda talked about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm telling you, if you haven't read that book already, it's
I've got it in my Amazon. Yeah.
I'm going to re-listen to it because I think it's so good. And then I made a worksheet with it that we attached to the podcast because I think working the worksheet is so valuable.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I love that too. Is anything else new? Where are you? Like, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm in Texas hiding from the mowing man outside. They're mowing. So I'm like in the little podcast room that I made especially for podcasts that I never do a podcast in.
Yes.
I'm in that room. And I'm so excited because I paid a girl, Debbie's daughter-in-law. She said, she's very good at organizing. I'm like, oh, is she? And you know how something keeps bugging you, but you don't do anything about it?
Yeah.
My office has driven me crazy. But obviously, if I was going to do something about it, I would have already. So yeah. I paid her and $15 an hour, and my office looks amazing. I'm like, hey, I got a lot of other rooms in this house, so don't go anywhere.
I got a lot more to do.
Yeah, but it looks so good and it feels so good. And I'm like, man, I should have done this sooner.
Yeah, I love it. Did y'all just teach in the market center there?
Mm-hmm, in Flower Mound. Yeah.
Yeah, how was it? Good?
Yeah, I was teasing. I said my daughter had to pay, we did $20 a person to go to KB Cares.
Yeah.
And I said, my daughter had to pay $20 to come get advice she could have gotten for free. But they don't listen, to you very much. But I guess in a classroom.
They have to. They're forced to listen in the classroom. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get to share today. I have a couple of good tips, actually 6 to be exact. So my high capacity leadership group that I do with John Maxwell, which I'm super pumped about. Next week, I'll be in West Palm Beach at the 2026 kickoff for it. So I can't wait to. Yeah, and the lineup looks great. Rory Vaden is going to be there speaking. Mac Lake is speaking. There's tons of plus John. I mean, the whole first half of the day is John. But in preparation for that, John Maxwell just did a Zoom with us, and he called it Life Rails, maturity in stabilizing leadership. So actually knowing that you are continuing to mature. And he says, no matter how long you've been in leadership or how old you are, your leadership is always maturing. And he said, these are the 6 signs or 6 points, I guess, to spot a mature leader. And it's wild because this is going to sound judgmental and I don't mean for it to be. But when he was going through these, and you'll do the same, I bet, Linda, but like different leaders pop in your head and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I remember that. Or that was a mature thing they did, or that was an immature thing that they did. And, we're all just trying to get better together. But he said, leading yourself is always the hardest person to lead. And he said, when you're a mature leader, you really see the big picture, not just your own picture. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in leadership, it's hard to, you just see your own vision, but really you have to see the bigger one. So he gave 6 points. And the first one, so the first sign of a mature leader is they understand that they aren't entitled. And I feel like we talked a lot about just some of the younger generations, and not labeling them, but there's like some sense of entitlement around that. But he said there's a big difference between I deserve and I serve. And he said you can always see a mature leader when they're there to serve, and it's not like, oh, I deserve this. He said entitlement and generosity are not compatible. So you're either generous and serving or you're entitled, but either way, they're not compatible. And he said that with understanding that they aren't entitled, they also understand that they aren't status conscious, meaning like John said, all these people have these great bios, which I thought when he said that, I thought, here, I just paid all this money to have this expert bio from brand builders. But he said, when you're good, you don't need an introduction. And think about it. Think about the people that are so good that come on stage and like, you don't need to read their bio because they're John Maxwell or they're Gary Keller. I mean, they're so good. They don't need an intro.
That's a good point. I've never really thought about that. Why
Yeah,
don't you just let your actions be your bio?
that's what he said. Yeah, he said like, and he said when you understand that you like mature leaders are not entitled, you'll also see that they don't care about status. They aren't status conscious. They aren't just trying to get to some status. Um, they're so good they don't need an introduction. So
You know,
that was good. Oh, go ahead.
well, I just was thinking what comes to mind when you say this to me is a couple of things. I get to be 30,000 feet and watch leaders
All day.
all day. And I even think about my own self. When I think about see the bigger picture, um, years ago, I mean, okay, so, of course, we own offices. Years ago, how I would have handled a situation that we had last year is different than the way
Yeah.
I handled it this last year. For example, we had to ask somebody to leave the office, right? The bigger picture is I still want her to be with KW, right? It's
Yeah.
still the bigger picture for her to be with KW. And um, so we just agreed for her to be out of another market center in our territory. I don't know if I would have done that. Okay, so I think about it like this. My first reaction I've learned is I learned to say, this is my reaction, not my response. Give me a minute.
Yes. Oh, that's
Because
good.
because I am a high driver. A
Yep.
high driver's biggest fear is being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And that's normally, as I was maturing as a leader, would lead with it. I mean, I wouldn't even give the space to think, okay, wait a minute, this is just my reaction, not my true response.
Yep.
But I think over time, as you mature, and then the other thing I think about is when an agent calls and they're so upset with a person that wants to leave their team, one of the first things I say to them is your dreams and your goals and your life have to be
So
so
much
much
bigger.
bigger
Yep.
than that person leaving you.
Yeah.
So when you really think about it, the real problem is what could you have done to keep that person if you really wanted to keep them? Where did you miss something? Where did you? I'm listening to this great book now called about Anastasia, the brow
Oh
lady.
yeah. Yeah.
So good, but there's so many lessons in there. But like, where did you miss? Something that was a dream because the salon she was at, she went to them with her idea,
Oh
and
wow.
they said no.
Mm.
I went, oh my gosh, how, how stupid were they now looking back? I mean, multi-billion
Yep.
dollar industry she's created it. So I think I just had this conversation with the top agent. I said, what if there's somebody you wished you hadn't lost? Two things. One, keep the door open.
Yeah.
Please keep the door open because and even don't be afraid to go back and say, you know what, I must have missed something with you. I want to keep the door open because I would love maybe for you and I to think of something to
Mm.
do together that both of our lives could be bigger.
Yep.
And then go back and say, did I not check in with them to see what their dreams and goals were that maybe together we could have accomplished?
Mm-hmm.
But I think of those two things when you say that,
Yep.
because to me, maturity is you younger in your leadership, you handle it one way.
Yeah.
And over time, you begin to go, I could my first thought is to handle it that way. But the truth is, if my dreams aren't bigger and my goals aren't bigger than that, then I got to worry about that first.
Yep.
Those are the two things I think about when you say that because
Yep.
I think
It's
about
so
my
true.
own journey.
It's so true. Okay, well, you're going to love the rest because I mean, it's so spot on. So true. So, number 2 is they are increasingly okay with not knowing everything.
Mm,
And he said a lot of leaders want to know everything. Like they want to be in the know all the time. But he said when you know everything, it actually slows you down. He said, know what you need to know and then move on. And technically, when you know about 60 to 70% of something, you can make a decision and you have to start moving on stuff. He said, because speed is essential for leadership. And
mm.
he said a lot of leaders get stuck in the like, have to have their hand in everything, have to know everything. But I love what he said at the end of this one, Linda. He said, managers want to know everything and leaders want to know the main thing.
Oh, that's so
And
true.
that's so true. Yeah.
That's so true.
Because, think about it when you've had leaders and they're like, they got to know every single little thing and they have to be in the know and they're like, that's a manager. A leader is like, tell me what I need to know and let's go.
Yeah, and I think about an example not too long ago. I might have mentioned this before, but it sticks in my mind so much because I think our own lessons come from watching other people. And in this particular case, we had presented an opportunity to a group, and this person has a super talented person. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody would love to have this person working for them. And the leader wanted to control everything. The
Mhm.
person would say, "Oh, what about this person to head it up?" And they'd say, "Oh, no, no, they're not." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, if you could hear yourself."
Yeah.
I mean, no talented person is going to keep getting shut down by someone who's supposed to be the leader, but they're acting like a manager.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Gosh,
It's not going to happen. They're going to get so frustrated.
they're going to be gone.
Yeah. So he said, if you want to mature in your leadership, get okay with not knowing everything. Know the things that you need to know, and then roll on, because you have to get going. He said, I learn and know so that I can get going, basically.
Mhm.
But they don't wait, because I think what he was saying too is a lot of leaders, if they feel like they have to know everything, they almost end up to be a get ready to get ready to get ready, because they're constantly trying to get 100% of the information. And
Before
then,
they go.
yeah, before they go, and then it slows you down. You completely slow down. And I even said this to uh, uh, person that I was meeting with earlier today. Like, time kills all deals. So let's,
Let's
we
do it.
we gotta roll with it. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
have an opportunity, so let's roll with it.
Yeah. Good
But
one,
so
Dave.
I love that one. Number 2, they're increasingly okay with not knowing everything. Number 3, and I'm curious your thoughts on this one. They perform better in high pressure situations.
Mm,
He said
yeah.
immature leaders, when you are immature in your leadership, I guess is the nicer way to say it. High pressure just freaks you out. But when you're a mature leader, you actually perform better. He said when they're under pressure, you show up.
Mhm.
You have emotional stamina. He said motion influences emotion. Average people want you to be average, and you need to focus on the problems that you can control, not facts of life, because
Mm,
you can't control facts of life, but problems you can. It's almost like what's her face's book, Everything is Figure Outable.
yeah.
And so he said, only focus on what you can control. And he said, your surroundings don't need to control your feelings at all, but you need to know how to perform and show up in high pressure situations. And when you're mature,
Mhm.
you actually will perform better. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I perform so much better under pressure or with a super deadline.
Me too. Yep.
Give me the deadline.
Yes.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. I also think about what John Addison told us. Remember, he always has this saying that says, um, "If money can fix it, ain't no problem."
Yeah.
That means somebody else. You can pay somebody else to do it. You can pay it off. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah. So
Just
true.
bring me the big things.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. But it did get me thinking about like what's a problem versus what's a fact of life. I mean, I guess sometimes the way people are is just a fact of life. Like if it's a problem, you can control it, but if it's just a fact of life,
Yeah.
there's
Or
not.
maybe one thing that's fact of life is the way the markets go up and the markets go
Yeah.
down. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. That have to
Yeah. You
think
can't
about that.
control that, so you just have to figure out a way around it.
Right. And the same thing is you can't control how people are going to act. You can do your best to get them to think differently, but at the end
That's
of the
right.
day, you have to keep moving forward whether they're going to think correctly or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yep. Number 4 is they surround themselves with people who have gifts better than their own. He
Mm,
said leaders who are immature in their leadership, they don't want anybody to be better than them, but you surround yourself with people who have gifts better than your own. He said, seek out people who are more skilled and better.
mm,
When you're at the head of the class, you're in the wrong class. We know that. Let the people and players around you make you better. You move from a directive leader to an interactive leader, meaning you listen and follow advice. Then you ask for advice. You don't listen to advice. You don't seek advice. Like he just said, basically, there are so many people that are scarcity around having better people around them. And then this was the funniest thing he said. He said he feels like he's coined this term called ask hole. Have you heard him say that?
yes, I have heard him say that.
He said, I just know it's going to get in the dictionary. I know we're going to open the dictionary and it's going to have asshole in the dictionary. But he said his definition of an asshole is a person who asks for advice, yet they never take it.
Oh, gosh.
And he said, how many of you know people like that? They're just constantly, they want to know what you think and then they don't go and do it, which actually reminded me too of almost like the same thing around mentors. When you are mentored by somebody, it's like by the time when they ask you to do something and then you go back to them, they want to know that you've done it or that you've
Mm-hmm.
made progress on it. Otherwise, they're like, well, I'm not going to keep giving you uh,
Don't waste my time.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my time continuing.
Well, and on the flip side of that, I think about times that I've been the leader, and it's like this period when a person is new with you, they want to soak up everything you know. And then there's this moment where anything you say to them, they say, "Oh, I did that. Oh, I said that. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I think of one of the speakers that John just had. His name was Kevin Turner. He's the only guy that's ever worked with Walmart and
I saw his
Sam Walton and Bill Gates.
Yep.
And he said when he was a young leader in Walmart, one of the managers brought him in to tell him about something, and he just had all these deny, defend, deflect, all the things that people would do. And the guy said, well, that's only one. What's the other two? And he goes, you're not ready for them. He said, come back when you're ready to, you know what I mean? I'm like, what a great way to make somebody wake up and realize, okay, I'm not even trying to hear your advice. I'm trying to defend what I did.
Yep. Wow.
So on the flip side of that, you've got people that are following you that aren't really open to, after a certain while, they just don't feel like you. It's like almost like they feel like you don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. How do you think I got right here?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Totally. Yep. So, takeaway from that one: don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Number 5, they embrace process and understand the value. They embrace process and understand the value. And this is something I had never heard him say before, and it made so much sense after he explained it and taught it. He said, crock-pot your leaders, don't microwave them. Meaning what he meant by that was he said it just takes time for people that you're leading to move from student to expert. And so he said, like, sometimes as leaders, we want to microwave our people, meaning we think that they need to know it and like have all the answers within 6 months. And honestly, I think about this, Linda, sometimes from like an OP perspective. Team leaders as OPs, sometimes we're like, man, we feel like in 90 days they should be like ready to go. And really, that's just a role that sometimes takes a minute to learn.
You're constantly weighing up.
Yep.
And I think the best way to figure out if they are the right person that you give crock-pot time to is, are there actions there?
That's right.
You know what I mean? If there's excuses there and there's not actions, then absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they've got, and I remember when I was first learning about what does a team leader do? How do you find them? Feeling that you kind of almost have to go off feeling and say, do I really feel like they're doing the actions, or are they just making excuses, right? Yeah. Because if they're making the actions and they've got integrity and they've got all the key other characteristics, you just have to give them time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yesterday morning. You would have been so proud of the room. I taught in the Richmond office yesterday morning mindset. We were doing shift tactics, and they'd asked me to do the mindset one. And I was talking about, okay, you get your mindset right, get your mind. And then the second part is it's get real, get right. Okay, we talked about get real. Now we got to get right, which means get into action. And I said, and you know what Linda has always taught me, and I've always said this to y'all, activity. And before I could even finish my sentence, the whole room said activity breeds activity.
Yeah. And run in motion, so get in motion.
Yeah, I said, I'm so glad you all listened. And everybody was like cracking up, the whole training room. I'm like, at least they listened to one thing. Yeah. But it is true. So I love that. So he said also, process allows you to grow to the next level, not go to the next level. And he said, what I mean by that is we can all think of people who are in a room when maybe they didn't belong there. And he said, you want to grow there because then you belong in the room. And so he said, you always have to be understanding the value of what's going on and embracing the processes because you want to grow to the next level, not go to the next level. And, in our organization, like, I think a lot of us do that and a lot of people do that. But he said, because greatness takes time and nothing turns just like that. He said, your work gets stored up before it shows up. And so he said, you have to just think about that and know that. And I don't know that I've ever even heard him say this either, Linda, but he said of all the books that he's written, the 98 or however many it is, it took 13 years before he hit a bestseller list.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. And he said, all my work was getting stored up before it showed up. And he said, no, I'm not saying, it might not. And then he did the John thing. Like, I'm slower than y'all, so y'all are going to hit it faster than me. But he said, if you're good, time is on your side. And if you're not, then it's not. Mm-hmm. And that's really true. I mean,
And that's a great thing to think about with the people you have. Who do you have that you're willing to give the time to?
Time to. Yep. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you know that, right? When you're
Yep.
working with somebody. That's
hmm
interesting.
Yeah, because he said, then he kind of talked about the 1%er thing, and he said, the top 10%, people get there all the time, but to get to be a true 1%er, the last 9% has so much more weight than the other 90%. And
Mm.
so he said it's just really knowing that if you're good, time is on your side, and doing the right activities and realizing the value, and doing it when you're a mature leader versus immature leaders. Like, okay, you're here and now you want to be a 1%er day one. And, it just takes time. And
Mhm.
actually made me think, I posted on Saturday was the 19th anniversary when I passed my real estate exam, which I was like,
Mhm.
good
Mhm.
gosh, that went by fast.
I saw that. It was good.
And I like took a little trip down memory lane thinking about all of it and stuff. But it's so funny because sometimes people, and I'm sure they do this to you all the time, it probably drives you nuts, but it's like, they're like, oh, well, I want to do exactly what you're doing right now. But I'm like, but you have no idea the work that I mean, it just takes time. It really does.
Yeah, and it's not. We said this the other day when we were teaching wealth building, and I remember John saying before too. People want to be where you are, but they don't always want to do what you did,
Yes. Yep.
and they don't want to put the time in to do what you did. But I
Yep.
said this the other day with the because I just had when you're looking for something, you start to see examples, and so freedom and wealth building and all that stuff is so important to me that I see an example when it pops up. And Jimmy had a relative the other day that went into the hospital, and when he got ready it was time to go to rehab. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, he can't go to rehab unless he has 24-hour care. Well, you know what 24-hour nurses cost,
That's a lot.
and he can't afford that, right? So family members, and he doesn't have that big a family. Family members were going to have to
Wow.
stay for 20 something days or whatever. And I'm like, okay, guys, the reality is you can either have the pain now or
Yeah.
you're going to get the pain later. I said, our fortunate thing that happened to us is we got the pain early.
Yeah.
And so it forced us to start focusing on working because we wanted to, not because we had to.
Yeah.
I said, but everybody's too comfortable right now. You
Yeah.
got a nice house, you drive a nice car, you take a vacation. There's no pain, but the
Mhm.
pain's coming later.
Yeah.
When you have a relative and you can't afford to pay for the 24-hour care that they need,
Yep.
or it's you and you can't
Make
afford
it
to do
work.
it and your
Yep.
spouse has to figure out. So I'm like, man, I wish there was some way we could bring that pain forward for people to understand and see
Mm-hmm.
it's coming. It's either now or later.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Well, and that kind of actually walks right into number 6, the last one. He said, mature leaders have a healthy view of failure. And, he's writing a book on failure right now. So I knew this would be one. But he said, make failure your friend, not your enemy. Learn from your mistakes and your lessons. He said, we all want wisdom, yet we don't want to fail to form the wisdom.
Mm.
And the only way that you gain wisdom is to go through your failures. He said that he's working on a lesson right now called Behind the Leadership Curtain because he said that he said he really wants to give people a peek behind the leadership curtain, because he said he feels like he went fast and pioneered, and that there are a lot of times where he has been lonely, but he said he does believe that if people say it's lonely at the top, that you did it the wrong way.
Mhm.
And so he said he doesn't believe in that, but he does think mature leaders need to have a healthy view of failure, and that you need to be willing to fail, because otherwise you aren't going to get the wisdom, that you need.
Mhm. Wow, that's so true. It's funny. Gary's working on a book on failure too. That's going to be fun.
I know.
They're both going to
Yeah.
be so good. And it's funny how they'll probably come at it from complete different
Different
angles.
sides. Yep. Yeah. I know.
Wait,
Totally.
maybe that'll be the subject we study next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did have one more final note at the bottom when he talked about working good under pressure. He said, just remember the pressure changes always. You might not feel financial pressure when you get money, but then you feel the pressure to produce. Pressure never really leaves. The level and kind of pressure changes.
So, God, that's so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I just thought he just always,
You
does.
think, how in the world does he keep coming up with stuff, right?
It's content every day. I don't know. I'm anxious to see what he's going to talk about next week too while we're there. But yeah, I don't know. It was just really good on maturity and stabilizing leadership. I don't have like a things for people to go listen to or anything because it was just something that he did for us. But hopefully they got those 6 lessons written down and gives you something to think
And
about.
what did he call? What was the title of that? What did he call it?
He called it Maturity Stabilizing Leadership.
Okay.
Yep. Maturing in your own leadership and leading yourself before you lead others.
And I think when I think about leadership, I think it's a whole topic that you have to choose to master.
Totally.
I mean, just because you have the title,
Yep.
you're so, and I try to say this to top agents all the time. It kills me to see top agents give up on succeeding through people because they never get to the great part.
Yeah.
And the great part you and I have is working with amazing people.
Yes.
And watching the results. And I never in a million years thought the joy and the fulfillment would be so good. Now, it has its downs too when it doesn't work out. But I'm like, it's so sad to me that people think they want to do a business, which is people making you money and succeed through people. But they're not willing to get past the hard part. They're not willing to get to the mastery part.
Yeah. And that actually is so true. And I'll say one more thing, like they're really committing to master yourself in leadership. There are so many people that have the title, but they don't grow in their leadership. And therefore they're leading people that know what great leadership could look like, but they aren't. And like even Linda, this morning, I woke up to a text early. I was texting with an operator early this morning who said that they were so upset and they were like, I need somebody that I can trust that will give me good advice. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got one eye open. So like, let me wake up for a minute and then I might be able to give you some good advice. I haven't had my quiet time yet, but okay. But they said that their leader, who is a big leader, yesterday pulled their right-hand assistant kind of who's been with them for 8 years at an event, pulled them out into a private room and offered them a job. And they were like, I just have lost all, like, I'm just, they just said the lack of leadership. They said, I just didn't sleep. I was so upset over it because I'm just thinking here, this person is supposed to be my leader, and I'm like, okay, let's think about it and not react emotionally. I said, you might need to evoke the 24-hour rule before you do anything.
Well, let's think about both of them. So, because we had a perfect example of that. Okay, both of them. Let's think about it from both of them's perspective. From that person's perspective, the higher level would have been to say, is this a better opportunity for that person? Have I missed that person's looking for something? Whatever. Okay, so that's one side. The other side is the other person should have had enough respect to say, I would never do this unless you were okay with this.
Yeah.
And I would talk to them first before I ever talk to somebody else.
That's right.
Perfect example, Mo, her high standards. We were on the phone this morning and she said, you know who would be perfect? And she names somebody. I'm like, oh yeah, they would. And I said, but Mo, we would never, ever take that person from you. You know what I mean? But she's also the kind of high leader that says,
think about that.
When the time is right, maybe, you know what I mean? They would never hold somebody back from that being a better opportunity for them either.
Yep, totally.
And so you can kind of see both. It's not one is right and the other's wrong.
Yeah.
It's they both have to move up to that higher place and look at it at a different place.
Yep, it's from that 30,000 foot view that sometimes it's hard to get to.
Yes, it is. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's where coffee comes in handy when somebody texts you that early in the morning with the issue. Somebody did that to me the other day. I'm like, oh my God, I got to have caffeine first.
Hold on a minute. Yeah.
That's amazing. Awesome. Well, this is good. I love it. So how often do y'all meet?
Once a month.
Once a month. I love by Zoom or
Zoom. Yeah. Well, we do twice a year in person and once a month virtually. And it's not John every time. I mean, John is 4 times a year, and then the other times it's a great, it's an expert. This last one was Ryan Leak. I mean, it's just really.
Is he in your group?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just really great. Really, really great people. Awesome. And then so next week I'm excited for the in-person one because I obviously love learning from Rory, and then Mac Lake is going to do leadership, biblical principles, leadership from the Bible. And then, gosh, who else? There were several. And then, John really is the main one for this in-person one. But yeah, it's such a great group.
That's awesome. Sounds like it. Sounds amazing. Awesome. Well, that's great, Dana. Thanks for the good content. I'm sure everybody got a lot out of it. And remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you can pay us is number one, a great review so other people find us, but mainly pass it on yourself to someone that you think that would enjoy these conversations. And if you have a challenge, an opportunity, a guest, or a question, and you'd like to bring to us for the podcast, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. Dana, I'll see you next week.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.